Previously on Fate, Luck, and Karma, Lee made his return to the team.
I'm back.
Hey!
Dean overshared.
But you're also hearing the side effects of an upper respiratory tract infection. So,
Ghostbusters news triggered some unlikely hashtags.
Hashtag after afterlife.
Hashtag sexy corridor.
Sexy corridor.
Jay asked a big theological question.
Why has Jesus never come back as a ghost?
Theo decided that an apartment in Spook Central might be a money spinner for the team.
It would make the best Airbnb ever.
And Lee, Lee again, but it was his first time back, proved there's never a bad time to quote Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
There could be witches. Some evil witches. Which is ridiculous, because witches, they were persecuted, wicked, good, and love the earth and women power, and I'll be over here.
And now, if you give us 30 minutes, we'll give you the Ghostbusters world.
The following podcast contains potential spoilers for the Ghostbusters Afterlife sequel.
West Midlands Ghostbusters, what do you want?
Call it fate, call it luck, call it karma.
You're listening to Fate, Luck and Karma, a Ghostbusters fan podcast from the West Midlands Ghostbusters.
Right, if you have made it this far, then you've got past the spoiler warning, and therefore you don't care if we potentially spoil. Hashtag after afterlife. Welcome to episode 4 of season 1 of Fate, Luck and Karma. It is time to meet your hosts. I am Dean Riley, along with
Lee Lawrence.
Jay Wood.
And Theo Wilson.
I have sad news.
Go on.
We have to start the show with an apology.
I'm sorry, why?
Well, there's the apology done. Anyway.
Well, no, it's not that you're sorry. It's. Do you remember when I mentioned Salem, Massachusetts?
Ah, yes. Salem.
If you can't, here's a little bit of a reminder. I've only listened once, and they, I think, were probably a coven of witches and wanted to make sure that we were only interested in busting ghosts and we were never going to catch or go and bust witches. So now that they've decided that we're not a threat, they're not listening anymore. And that made Lee sing the It Could Be Witches, Some Evil Witches thing from Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And I just, off the cuff remark, fire and forget, reckless as I am as a podcast co-host. And then this week, our listener from Salem, Massachusetts messaged me.
Oh, that could be either very good or very bad.
It actually turned out to be very good. Shouts out to Ivan, our listener in Salem, Massachusetts. He's part of the Arkham Ghostbusters. So he messaged me and thankfully took the joke in very good spirits indeed. Turns out that he's a very, very cool guy. And what would be the best possible response, do you think, gentlemen, if you were...
My regards to the coven.
It wasn't a million miles away. So obviously he knew that we called out the whole, you're in Salem, therefore you must be a witch. Yeah, so then he sent me a photo of him in full Ghostbusters regalia, standing with a witch. And I'm just like, dude, you may be...
A real witch.
Well, apparently.
Oh, legend.
I know, quite a legend. So Ivan of the Arkham Ghostbusters, who, by the way, also has... Do you remember, Theo, when we saw the TARDIS proton pack?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, Ivan has a Doctor Who-themed entire Ghostbuster outfit. He's got like this mashup outfit. So he's got a kind of Doctor Who-inspired proton pack and a kind of sonic screwdriver, neutrino wand, and all this kind of stuff. Turns out he's awesome. So, number one, apologies for stereotyping that since you are in Salem, you must be a witch. But, in our defense, you did kind of send a photograph of yourself with one. So we're going to say that that's kind of okay. So we have a bucket load of news to fit in today, gentlemen. Let's fire through it real quick because there is a ton to go through. So we've got Ghostbusters Day coming up at Hook and Ladder 8. Annual event, raises a lot of money, incredibly good cause, and done in the honour of a NYFD hero, really, a firefighter who lost his life in the September 11th or the 9/11 attack in the US. Yeah, really important cause. Centres around Hook and Ladder 8 over in the home of Ghostbusters. And the beautiful thing that's come out of it is a rather unexpected piece of news that these guys are going to be performing live. The Alessi brothers are going to be apparently performing Saving the Day at Hook and Ladder 8. Gentlemen, do you have a favourite track from any of the Ghostbusters soundtracks? Let's start with you, Jay. Have you got a? Is it saving the day? Can we big up the Alessis?
I mean, it's a banger. Let's face it, it really is.
It is a
I
tune.
quite like I kind of like the one where obviously the roof blows off the firehouse, and it's like, "You believe in magic, magic." That one.
Yes, that's a
I
great
kind of
tune.
like that. Yeah.
I like that one too. Lee, how about you, buddy? Have you got? Are you? I could see you being a bit of a Bobby Brown on our own Ghostbusters 2 kind of guy.
Oh, you know me so well. You know me so well.
Is that really right? Is that genuinely right?
Yes, it is.
I love it. I love it.
Yes,
At some point during the course of this podcast, can you do us a Bobby Brown on our own rap?
Maybe.
Too hot to handle, too cold to hold. They're called the Ghostbusters.
I could potentially do that.
Yay! All right, cool. How about you, Theo? What's your favourite Ghostbusters track?
I think it has to be the title track.
Who are you going to call?
Yeah.
Loving You Work, Loving You Work.
I mean,
oh, definitely.
You play that, you know exactly what you're playing. You know, everyone's going to recognise it. But I'm one that's I like all the songs, but I also like the original score type stuff.
You know, that's the thing Afterlife didn't really have, and that was like an identifiable song. It had that like a ghost never leaves a haunted house.
Yeah,
vibe.
the McKenna Grace song.
Yeah, but he didn't really have that.
That's true.
He just needed that, didn't he?
It kind of does, actually.
Or did he? I mean, I'm saying he needed that. He didn't really need anything, but it would have been nice.
I mean, you're right. It was a great movie anyway, but that iconic kind of hook, yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
The fact that we're struggling to kind of identify any piece of music that was kind of like iconic for Afterlife is probably an indicator that there wasn't really any music that was iconic for Afterlife.
I think that's why I know Ghostbusters 2 gets a lot of slack, let's face it, but you can't deny the soundtrack for 2. It really knows how that set the tone of the scene. You know, and some of those tracks were just downright creepy, and I remember watching them as a kid. That put me straight on edge. You'd get, the goosebumps, and it was a really good soundtrack.
And the thing about that Bobby Brown track is, it's a bit of a lost art. You don't often get a song on a soundtrack anymore where if you listen to it, it spoils the entire damn movie.
That is true.
Yeah.
Yeah, slime under the building. What? There's slime under the building? We haven't even seen the movie yet. What are you on about? Oh, the Ghostbusters get back together. They get their kit and they get their proton packs. And, oh, okay. Yeah, you don't need to see the film after you've listened to Bobby Brown.
So you should.
Well, yes, you should. That's very true. We will keep an eye open for Ghostbusters Day. Obviously, we'll cover that here on Fate, Luck and Karma when that event rolls around. We'll see if we can. Should we see if we can grab a word with the Alessi brothers? Should we reach out and try and?
Oh, that would be cool.
Let's try and get them.
That would be very cool.
Let's try and get them. If by any chance, I mean, this is going out to the world, right? So if you have a connection with the Alessi brothers, the artists responsible for saving the day on the Ghostbusters soundtrack, Fate, Luck and Karma would love to have them on the show. If that's you recorded that song, or if you know the guys, then please pass on our details and we would love to have a chat with them. All right, next piece of news. Guys, we saw that the Harold Ramis screen-worn jumpsuit, minus the no ghost badge, by the way, as one member of the West Midlands Ghostbusters pointed out for us, it sold for a cool $32,500. Guys, I've been digging around and finding some other bits of merch. Well, not merch, actually, that's wrong. Other props and other bits of memorabilia from the Ghostbusters movies that have sold at auction. I'm going to ask you guys to take a stab in the dark guess here. What do you reckon is the most expensive movie prop from Ghostbusters that's gone under the hammer at auction? Mr. Theo Wilson.
I'd probably have to say a ghost trap.
Okay, we have Theo with a ghost trap. Lee?
Terror Dog?
Terror Dog. All right, cool. That is a good shout, actually. And obviously there's two of them. They could have sold as a pair. Jay, what do you reckon, buddy?
I don't know. I'm kind of like, I want to throw a proton pack in there, but I'm kind of thinking, is that too obvious?
Well, yeah.
And then I'm also kind of thinking Slimer suit.
It's funny you should mention that. Slimer is on the list, mate. And in fact, so is a ghost trap. Terror
Really?
Dog, sadly not, Lee. You're out of the running, buddy. I'm sorry. Okay, let's fire through this real quick. So you could have bought Slimer's fingertips for £1,845 or about $2,000 US. You could have bought a production-made bag of Stay Puft marshmallows. Bear in mind, these are at the time of auction, they were 35-year-old marshmallows. They sold for £2,400 or just over $3,000 US. Don't think you'd want to eat them. I saw a photograph of it Sweet. Ooh, yeah, it looks grim. You could have bought Harold Ramis's leather boots and elbow pads from Ghostbusters. That sold for £14,000 or about $18,000. And then we jump up big time into a prop that sold for 186,960 British pounds or $233,015. And it was the Hero Ghost Trap. Theo, you're absolutely right. I feel like I should put in some kind of game show, ding, 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 and special rounds of applause and all that kind of stuff. But that's a lot of money.
Applause.
Got to fire on to more news. McKenna Grace, Finn Wolfhard, Paul Rudd, Carrie Coon, they all apparently suited up for a teaser presentation at CinemaCon. No footage of that has leaked out yet, but descriptions of it have. And all of them have been together in this little digital presentation for CinemaCon, suited and booted. And Theo, you've done a little bit of digging around this, some interesting stuff around the language that they've used about McKenna, Finn, Paul Rudd, Carrie Coon, all being back together again, no?
Yeah, they've said all living under one roof, but the one that really sticks out is as a proper family.
As a proper family. Are you the keymaster? Are you the gatekeeper? Are Paul Rudd and Carrie Coon going to be an item, do we think, guys, in hashtag Afterlife?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, Jay's straight in there. He's like, yeah, of course they are.
I'm looking forward to it, definitely.
Yeah.
It's a no-brainer.
Yeah, no question.
So Paul Rudd playing the kind of awkward figuring out how to be a stepdad.
There's nothing awkward about that beautiful man, let's face it.
It's a fair point. He is a beautiful man.
You've got a point there.
What do you reckon, Lee? Because everybody obviously thought that we were going to get Venkman and Dana Barrett together in Ghostbusters 2. That didn't happen. Do you think that Paul Rudd and Carrie Coon's characters are going to end up as a nice new, literally nuclear family?
I hope so. I mean, I enjoyed their characters in Afterlife. I thought their chemistry together they worked really well together. They were so funny. They bounced off each other really well.
Apparently they bounced off one another when they were demonically possessed as well, but that's possibly another story. What do you think, Theo?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think the two characters together, and also the fact that he has such a fond and almost obsessive passion for everything Ghostbustery, even to the point where he picks up the trap and realizes exactly what it is, and the fact that he always used to dream about holding it and dream about being part of it, and the fact that he witnesses everything he witnesses as well throughout the end of Afterlife, and how powerful the scenes were between the two of them, and all the history, and the fact that he witnesses what he witnesses. Yeah, I think absolutely. I think it'd be crazy not to have them together. Absolutely.
I've got a dark theory in my head that the character of Phoebe is going to try and take a brain tissue sample from her mum and from Paul Rudd's character, because, that's what Egon wanted to do to the Keymaster, right? He's not around. Maybe, I don't know. All I'm saying is maybe Paul Rudd wakes up in the middle of the night and finds Phoebe looming over him.
A bald patch on his head.
A bald patch on his head and a drill in her hand. I mean, it's got to happen. I think it's got to happen. Speaking of the women of Ghostbusters, obviously you heard at the start a little bit of our new intro, actually. The wonderful, officially Queen of Fate, Luck and Karma. Lots of wonderful women in the West Midlands Ghostbusters, by the way. Lots of wonderful women in the extended West Midlands Ghostbuster family too. But I've appointed her. I'm sorry, I've handed her the crown. Annie Potts is our queen. She very, very kindly provided a nice new intro for Fate, Luck and Karma. She can do no wrong in our eyes. She has made it into the news, into Ghostbusters news specifically over this last fortnight,
because apparently she's been in London.
Yes, there was a picture on her Instagram at a certain London landmark.
Yeah, her and her son posing for a nice tourist shot. When in London, you do the touristy thing. And I believe it was in Trafalgar Square, standing in front of Nelson's Column. Really nice shot. And, Annie Potts in the United Kingdom, specifically in London, at the same time that Ghostbusters is filming, #Afterlife, in London.
It's so exciting.
Are we getting Janine back?
I hope so. I really do. I mean, if she comes back to New York, I will be delighted.
I got to admit, she's one of those characters that really enriched the first two movies for me, especially the first one. If I had to pick, I kind of like sassy, grumpy kind of Janine rather than the flirting with Lewis Ghostbusters 2 Janine. I kind of want grumpy Janine back for #AfterAfterlife.
I mean, still there. We still assuming that they're going to be in New York. I mean, they're doing a lot of filming in the UK.
They are.
It seems like the main reason they've come over is because they've built the interior of the firehouse in the sound stages, which does lead you to think what's going to happen. Like maybe something could happen in the firehouse. Maybe, as previously mentioned, the grid could go again. I think they'll stick around. I think they'll stick around New York at least.
Yeah, I think so too. Just to kind of raise our levels of geeky excitement that little bit more, we get more leaked photographs, this time paparazzi photographs rather than kind of official Instagram shots. We get photos of Paul Rudd, in jumpsuit, by the way, Ernie Hudson, and beautifully exciting, we get a photograph of William Atherton, of course, the wonderful Walter Peck.
Yes!
Clearly, we're getting back Walter Peck, right? Theo, what do you reckon, mate? This has got to be the most simple, no-brainer question we've asked so far this season, right?
Yeah, no, without a shadow of a doubt. I think even the fact that he's even pictured in the same, forgive me if I'm wrong, the same blue suit,
yes,
and the same blue waistcoat, and the same beard trim, and the same hair, even though obviously aged, obviously as time goes on. But the same outfit at the same place where you see a certain Paul Rudd wearing a jumpsuit and you see Ernie Hudson handling a load of files. I think it's.
I've just developed a theory.
Go for it, Jay. What's your theory?
He's got a theory.
It's not a good one. What if Walter Peck is back as a ghost?
Ooh.
Theo's face then said it all.
Okay, I honestly would love that, and I would love if he came. I'd hate that in one respect, but I would love to think that he's come back as a ghost specifically to torment Venkman.
Or it could be the mayor.
Oh, if he's the mayor.
That's genius.
Yeah.
The mayor of Hell's Kitchen.
What if Hardmeyer was the mayor?
Can we deal with two bureaucratic, pen-pushing, pencil-neck geeks?
Yes.
There's only one way to find out.
Hey! We will see. And just to kind of hammer it home and just to prove, of course, this is all happening again, Ernie Hudson shared in an interview with the Film Collective that, quote, "It's great to be back with Danny and Bill and Annie Potts and the new cast. It's been 40 years. It just feels like family." Now, do we think that Bill is Bill Murray? Or do we think that Bill is referring to Bill as in William, obviously William often shortened to Bill, Atherton? Jay, what do you reckon?
Bill's back. Bill's going to be back. Bill's back.
You think Ernie's absolutely confirming that Bill Murray
is
Venkman's
100,000% back. I'd put money on it.
All right, okay. Lee, one-word answer. Venkman, yes. Venkman, no.
Yes.
Theo?
Yes. 100%.
All right, across the board, we think that Bill Murray is back as the wonderful Dr. Venkman. We shall see. Shall we do a fun Ghostbusters fact? That was Ghostbusters News, by the way.
It's time for a fun Ghostbusters fact. During the iconic library scene, Peter Venkman interviews Alice, the librarian. When asked if any of her family were diagnosed schizophrenic or mentally incompetent, she replies her uncle thought he was Saint Jerome. This suggests that working in a library might be a family thing, because Saint Jerome is, coincidentally enough, the patron saint of librarians. As a bonus mini-fact, the St. Jerome line was originally meant for Janine. She was going to talk about her uncle seeing St. Jerome on the subway during the first Ghostbusters and Dana Firehouse scene. That was a fun Ghostbusters fact. I've quit better jobs than this.
Thank you, voiceover lady. So I did not know that, number one, St. Jerome is the patron saint of librarians, and number two, that line was originally going to go to Janine. If I was Annie Potts, I'd be a little bit grumpy. That's a great line.
Seconded.
Those facts were truly educational, though.
Don't worry, Annie. We've got your back. We will campaign in our quiet little revolutionary way to make sure you get some really, really kick-ass lines in Afterlife, because you've earned them, lady. Gentlemen, we need to jump back and do a quick bit of a throwback. Back in episode 2, we did a F-bomb feature where each one of you guys suggested where to place a strategically placed F-bomb to exploit the fact that Ghostbusters had a PG-13 or a PG rating and would therefore allow one strong sexual swear word. One of your examples sounded like this.
Well, then maybe my theory is correct. You can keep the on my head.
Now, I feel kind of dirty about it, and I feel a little bit guilty about it, because, it is lowest common denominator humour, but whoa, the internet loves it. So we've been, and this is not an exaggeration, we've been inundated with people suggesting where they want to place their F-bombs. So I'm going to apologise in advance about this, but we've kind of turned it into a thing. So without further ado, and mostly without any kind of shame, I'd like to introduce you to the very, very first Unnecessary Ghostbusters Censorship.
Who you gonna call? Louder!
That was your whole plan. Or scientific. I just got overexcited. Pete Venkman's a guy who can get things done.
Right.
I wonder what makes him tick.
I wonder.
I wonder if he'd be interested in knowing what makes me tick.
Right.
I'll bet you're going to be about me after I'm gone.
I bet I am.
No kiss.
We sing to it, and we talk to it, and say supportive, nurturing things to it.
You're not with it, are you, Ray?
Oh, you. It's always the quiet ones.
You hound. Oh, Johnny, did you back the wrong horse? Will you him, please? Him.
One down.
On the ground.
Louder!
I'm sorry.
Oh, now he's drippings with goo.
Oh, it was the sound at the end.
God.
It was the sound at the end. I think we've almost killed Theo. He's killed his mic and is currently having a coughing fit like nobody's business. I'm sorry, buddy. We didn't mean to kill you.
I'm okay. I'm all good. I was laughing too hard. Sorry.
Spoiler: the next one that we're doing in our next but one episode, for reasons that we'll come to in a second, is taken from the real Ghostbusters cartoon. And if you thought that what you've just listened to is weird, wait until you hear the cartoons from your childhood talking like that. It's going to get a little bit weird. So let's put an official shout out. We now have a proper Unnecessary Ghostbusters Censorship feature. If you want to suggest where you would place your F-bomb in Ghostbusters, then get in touch with us on the West Midlands Ghostbusters Facebook page, or alternatively, you can reach us on Instagram, again, via the West Midlands Ghostbusters. Some of you already have. If you have, we will use yours. We will edit those together, and we will put them out very, very soon. But yeah, let's lean into this. People love it, so, I'm all for giving the people what they want, right? So let us know where you would place your strategically placed F-bomb, or indeed any of the other type of sweary bombs that you might be able to place within Ghostbusters, and we will turn it into, frankly, a goddamn work of art. But that's not going to be in Episode 5, because Episode 5 is going to be a little bit different. Coming soon from Fate, Luck and Karma, a Ghostbusters fan podcast, we talk to James Green Jr., author of A Convenient Parallel Dimension, How Ghostbusters Slimed Us Forever. You'll hear exactly what made him say this.
Isn't this the greatest day of our lives?
Find out what he's referring to here.
It was such a strange story, and I felt like, people have only really scratched the surface of it.
Learn about the additional challenges that COVID-19 brought to the book.
This book has to cover Afterlife, otherwise, kind of what's the point?
His decision to reject an offer from Sony to make the book official.
I turned down Sony's offer, so that kind of shut the door on a lot of stuff.
And if there's a secret stash of Ghostbusters memorabilia that selected people get to see.
You're assuming that there's some big vault somewhere with all these unforeseen treasures. I don't think that's the case. I don't think there is,
Plus, we'll be talking punk music, being disappointed by Ghostbusters toys as a kid, and much, much more. Fate, Luck and Karma with James Green Jr. Coming soon, wherever you get your podcasts. Yeah, that's what it says on the wonderful world of the internet. But you're listening to us, so you get the scoop. That's going to be dropping on Monday, the 15th of May, and that's a really, really cool interview, guys. I flew solo on that one, but gentlemen, I can't wait for you to hear it. James Green Jr., author of A Convenient Parallel Dimension: How Ghostbusters Slimed Us Forever, absolute dude, very much our kind of people. Wrote a really, really good book about Ghostbusters. We talked at a stupidly early time for me. It was about 1:30 in the morning UK time when we started that interview. So we're going to be popping that out in 2 weeks' time on Monday, the 15th of May. And then myself and Jay and Lee and Theo will be back as normal for the shenanigans that you've got used to over the course of the last 4 episodes, the fortnight after that. Let's wrap things up a little bit, gentlemen. Let's come to you for your, because there's been so much going on this week, let's come to you for your Ghostbusters highlight since we were last together. So actually over the last fortnight. I keep saying week, but it's a fortnight. Theo, what's been your Ghostbusters highlight over these last 2 weeks, buddy?
For me, a lot more news, a lot of confirmations, a lot of actually seeing things moving rather than it being cloak and dagger. And actually, for me personally, we all know he's a dude, but Paul Rudd in a jumpsuit for me just ticks every box. Every single box. I mean, the guy is a legend. Personally, I think he doesn't age.
He's immortal.
He hasn't aged. He hasn't aged. Yeah, he's basically Peter Pan. He's got to an age and then doesn't change. Ever. And the fact that he's now going to be in a jumpsuit will probably make his childhood dreams come true. And it will be awesome to see him on screen in a jumpsuit as well. So for me, that's my highlight, definitely.
And that's why you're one of the good ones, Theo, because you're not only geeking out about what it means for you, but you're also geeking out about what it means for Paul Rudd. Kind of love it. Lee, how about you, mate? Ghostbusters highlight of the last 2 weeks for you, sir?
I got to go with what Theo said. Being a lifelong fan, as many of us are, the idea of seeing some fresh blood, new blood, whatever you want to call it, like, he's got to be buzzing, because I know that's what it was like for me when I got my jumpsuit come through. First time I put that on, it was like, oh wow, this is really cool. And I was beaming and buzzing, and I was just being a saddo in my bedroom, just zipping the jumpsuit up and having all those like memories of being a kid, just thinking this is just one of the coolest moments, I think. To do that, but on set and be in a Ghostbusters movie, I'd be buzzing. I'm really happy for him. I'm happy for them all. I'm glad they got to come back and do more.
Oh, this is so wholesome. Let's see if we can ruin that. Jay, how about you, buddy? Your favourite?
It's like you always come to me to ruin it. There's no need for this.
No, I'm not saying that we're each adopting certain types of roles, like some kind of male middle-aged version of the Spice Girls to appeal to the widest demographic. Not at all.
Oh, great. I'm annoying Spice.
You're the only one of us that can sing, dude. I think that's what...
Dude, I cannot sing. You caught me on a good day. I cannot sing.
I think your Buffy the Vampire Slayer intro at the start, complete with, piano, would beg to differ, but anyway, we digress. Jay, how about you then, mate? Ghostbusters highlight for the last 2 weeks.
Come on, Jay, save me from this one.
Certainly seen Paul Rudd in Carrie on this one. Was a big thing. However, I think me and Theo were talking about it earlier in the week. Just seen Ecto 1 getting a little bit of a spruce up, we called it. And it was lovely because, we're in 2023 now, and things are getting replaced by Teslas, and it could have been so easy for them to just say, we're replacing it, we're going to give you a hybrid.
Ooh.
But no, there she is.
I mean,
let's just keep it there.
She's an old girl, and they've given her a spruce, and hopefully she will have the role she deserves in
absolutely
the afterlife.
Yeah, if Ecto isn't sucking on gasoline, then she has to be sucking on nuclear power. That's the only alternative fuel that could possibly be powering an Ecto in my mind.
I want there to be news reports of further climate damage because that car's been fired up.
Everybody was worried about the containment grid blowing up, but now it's the fact that Ecto is in a clean air zone.
Oh God, there's a fire! Nope, it's Ecto-1.
It does show as well that if they've cleaned up Ecto, that Ernie Hudson entrusted what he was going to say at the end of Afterlife, that he was going to take care of her, and he said, "What have they done to her?"
Yeah.
So it shows that he's put the love back into her.
So much going on.
They could have quite easily have replaced the car, had something new, spruced it up. It could have looked fantastic. I mean, there's so many fans out there that have made their own Ectomobiles out of various different makes of cars, and they all look just beautiful and fantastic, and you can see the love put into them. But it's the Ecto-1. I mean,
Ecto-1, not Enviro-1.
yes.
Hey.
I'm not a big car person. I don't know makes and models, and I don't pretend to know any of that stuff. But I mean, you see that car and it's recognisable. It's right up there with Knight Rider and the Mystery Machine and the DeLorean, and exactly, and all the variants of like the James Bond cars. I mean, they're just so iconic vehicles. And
I suppose the Ghostbusters brand is not only, the no-ghost symbol, but the moment you see Ecto-1, you know straight away what you're going to witness. I mean, yes, as you said quite rightly, that a lot of people all over the world in so many different factions or groups all over the world do have their own Ectos, and hopefully soon enough one day, if I get round to it, that there will be a one or two West Mids Ectos knocking about.
Yeah. You never know.
Hopefully, if I get around to building the roof rack and everything, and get that sorted. But yeah, it's iconic, and the fact that is still a part of it and so treasured, even now. We're on the fourth film along in a historic film franchise, that they've still got that iconic car front and center.
Gotta love that moment when she comes bursting out of the barn in Afterlife, right? Sirens blazing, lights going. It's just like, come on!
Yeah, I was about to say the exact same thing. That moment, it's like a nice throwback to the original film. You've got Cleaning Up the Town playing, and they're all getting the gear on, and then the doors open up, and I know it's been said by other people before, and I'm not claiming to say this is my own, but she really is like a superhero just bursting out. And to hear those sirens going, to hear that proper like build up as she just speeds out. I mean, it's a beautiful thing to behold. It really is.
I feel like Dean needs to put that in the background now as we're talking.
Yes.
Whatever the case, it is a damn exciting time to be a fan of Ghostbusters, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's just going to keep birthing more fans as well. That's the good thing.
Absolutely right. And do you know what? We're going to be here for it, and we are very glad that you as well are going to be here with us to enjoy every moment of it as well. We do have the tagline, "Give us half hour and we'll give you the Ghostbusters world." I must confess, we've maybe crashed that a tiny little bit, but sorry, there's been an awful lot to fit in today. And when you get together and you want to geek out about stuff, sometimes you just got to talk about these things and share the excitement.
Absolutely.
But whatever the case, we would like to thank you for joining us for episode 4 of Fate, Luck and Karma. Don't forget that our next episode after this one drops on the 15th of May. That's a very special interview with James Green Jr., author of A Convenient Parallel Dimension. And then this lovely crew of people will be back with you on Monday, the 29th of May. And Lord only knows how much we're going to have to catch up on when we've been away for a little while. But for now, thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget to find us on social. Subscribe to Fate, Luck and Karma, and give us a review as well, if you could. We've had some lovely reviews coming through, so more of that will hopefully help us reach more people like you. And let's grow this little Fate, Luck and Karma family for the West Midlands Ghostbusters and for Fate, Luck and Karma. You have been listening to me, Dean Riley, along with
Lee Lawrence,
Jay Wood,
and Theo Wilson.
And we ain't afraid of no ghosts. See you next time.